Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Always Almost There, day after show live. We are here today to talk about last night's show at the Cascade Equinox Festival in Redmond, Oregon. I'm alone today. The other Always Almost There guys, couldn't make it, which is fine because none of us have heard a note of last night. We're not even 100% sure what they played. But we do have a very special guest. Yes, Jesse's just here for Cam. That's totally reasonable. But we've got Mr. Cam Hurd here today, host of Best Show Ever podcast and comedian extraordinaire. Cam, how are you doing?
Doing great. I'm tired. I'm doing tired. That's
there you go. Long weekend.
Yes, it was not just the Goose show. I was there for all 3 days of this, the first year of this festival, and it was a good one. And I'm in rough shape as we speak.
So yeah, as Ryan Molnar says, we're all just here to figure out what was actually played last night. Again, we're going. You're in charge, Cam. Do you have the Borfs? People are wondering.
I do have the Borfs. You guys are going to get them. Don't worry. I'm actually listening in one of my ears. The other one's the podcast, but one of them's the Borfs. And
got it. Are you flying them? You're flying them to Oakland right now, so Peter can upload them today. That's what's happening.
That's right. I have the USB. I have the files, and so I will safely get to Oakland. No, you texted me this morning, and you're like, "Hey, do you have the set list?" And I started sweating. I was like, "No." I remember it was awesome.
I realized when I woke up this morning that I should have asked you yesterday to text me the set list, even though I was sleeping, just so we had, what they played, because we've been so spoiled this tour by, the Borfs being up immediately after the show. But it had to happen eventually. They've been, 3 nights in a row, a lot of travel, festival, late festival sets. So, Cam, can you confirm or deny the rumors that you're dating Taylor Swift?
I don't really want to talk about that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
It's a lot's being made of it. But apparently she's going on dates with Travis Kelce. So I didn't know that we were doing that, but that's, neither here nor there.
Well, we don't have to talk about that. We are going to talk about the show last night. So we have the best approximation of a set list that we have gotten so far today. They did not play Shama-Lama Ding Dong. There were reports this morning that they played Shama. They did not play Shama. So we're gonna dive right in here. Nice 2-hour set, 9:30 to 11:30, closing out the festival here. But we've got Hot Tea and Silver Rising to start. And you said this was not your average hot tea.
No, and you correctly mentioned that hot tea does go for 20 minutes sometimes, and that's all that it is. But this was a really good start to a festival set after a long, hard day of a lot of rain, a lot of people leaving. The vibes during the day leading up to the show were, I got to be honest, bleak.
Wow.
The rain was coming down, not a lot of smiles on the grounds, and then when they came out with that hot tea, they ended up, they're like, "Are you guys all there? Are we all good?" And it was like a roar from a very small, maybe 4,000 people crowd, I would say. Mm-hmm. They were there after the hot tea. It was really great. Yeah, it's really great.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear the vibes picked up for the Goose set. It always has to. No, I'd like to address comments in the chat. No, it is water. Actually, I'm currently fasting because it is the Jewish Day of Repentance, Yom Kippur. So I apologize if my thoughts are a little bit more incoherent than usual today because I'm very hungry. Anyway, so Silver Rising next after this tea. I do have a question about the tea before we move on. Was there clav involved? Would I have?
Oh, Ryan. Quote. Of course there was clav. Yeah, we were looking at each other saying clav tweet pretty much immediately. And then, they cool off after the hot tea. They take a second breather and go into Silver Rising, and I started crying immediately. And so it was like, oh God. like second song of the show, and I've got tears in my eyes. I haven't seen that song yet, and so I was singing it for you, man. I was annoying everyone around me. Don't worry about it.
Good. I'm glad. That's what you got to do. I'd like to. Yes, I know you're not supposed to drink water when you fast. I draw the line at water. I won't eat or drink anything else, but I will have water because, like, I will only subject myself to a certain amount of repentance. Anyway. After the Silver Rising, we've got Into the Mist, into Can't Get You Out of My Head, the classic, very electronic festival, and they're playing Kylie. I believe that's the third time this year. Yeah, and the other two were at Okeechobee in March and Electric Forest in June. So they're 2023 Kylies are reserved for the EDM festivals. But how was Mist Kylie for you, Cam?
The Mist was incredible, and the Kylie got jammed out in a really nice way that the festival was loving. Yeah, they really took it for a ride, and yeah, you've got fans in the crowd. There was a lot of Goose fans at the festival, but obviously there's people in the crowd that are checking out the last headliner of the weekend, and they don't know any Goose, and a lot of excitement for the Can't Get You Out of My Head. A lot of phones up, taking videos of the Can't Get You Out of My Head, but then they do what they actually do and really took it for a ride, and it was great. And some good collab in that jam as well.
Amazing. Cam, we have a request from the chat that you're going to recreate all of the jams vocally. Can you give us a little bit of a taste of that Kylie, please?
Yeah. So it's like, I cannot. I can hardly recall. I can hardly recall the set list, let alone the jams. I'm excited to listen to the Borfs too, because it's about during the Kylie Minogue section that I am realizing there's no stream and that no one is watching the show right now except for the people in the crowd. I did not know that, and so yeah, I would have loved to know that beforehand so I could write down the set list, be a little more confident that I knew the set list and things like that. But I fully assumed that you were at home watching it.
I'm very sorry. I did not communicate properly. I thought I'd said, I was like, I'm going to bed. Like, not staying up for no stream show tonight. But
well, admittedly, I really don't. I don't like to post during shows. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, I'll post a tweet or a post or whatever during a show. But right in the beginning of Into the Mist, I was standing next to Sean from Long Strange Putt, and we both could not recall we're like, what is the song called?
You think it was Creatures?
We did not think it was Creatures.
Okay.
We didn't know what the name of the song was, and we were like, let's go to Twitter, let's find out what Ryan's saying about this. And that's when I see the text, like, or the post, like, I'm going to bed, I'm so glad there's not a stream tonight. And we were like,
oops.
Whoops.
That's great. So from there we get Arrow and Hunger Sight. It's a lot of jam vehicles popping up in this set. What was going on with these two here?
You get those two back to back, and you're like, oh yeah, of course we're at a festival set right now. We are getting the hits. We are getting the big ones. And
yes.
So
a lot of high scores in fantasy last night.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have loved for them to play the Arrow forever, much longer. But when they go into Hunger, everyone is very excited about the Arrow. People who don't know Goose are getting down to the Arrow. It's very funky at some points. Mm-hmm. But the Hunger Sight then felt like, here it is. Like, here's something that a lot of Goose fans were looking for. And I gotta say, and I didn't mention it right away, and I don't know why I didn't mention it. It was then we kind of knew that this was the best Goose show of all time.
Oh, best show ever, would you say?
I would maybe say best show ever.
Show of the year?
Maybe like, Radio City with Trey, sit down. Sylvie last spring, take a seat. This 2-hour one-set Goose set is the best Goose show
right. Well,
of all
listen,
time.
None of us here, myself or in the chat, can refute or confirm that, because none of us have heard it. So we're gonna take your word for it. Show of the year last night in Oregon, pretty crazy.
Show of all time. Show of all time.
Show of all time.
Yeah, I'm saying ever.
SOT.
Show of the ever.
The SOT last night.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And then we get SOS 726 and Arcadia to close out the set. Nice energy. Nice little, 726 always just hits, and paired with an Arcadia to close, just amazing. So on paper, this set looks amazing. But how was the end of the set here for you?
Really great. I love 726, and you guys got to know I've only ever been to one other Goose show. I've missed Goose.
That's crazy.
Many times for work or for I'm out of town or whatever it is. And so, Arrow, Hunger Sight, Hot Tea, those are a lot of stuff that I got at my first show. And I'm certainly not complaining. The jams were different and awesome.
Mhm.
But 726 was one where I was like, nice. This is one I would really wanted to see tonight. We were also watching the show with local saxophonist Sean McLean, who
Ooh.
sat in with like almost everyone over the weekend, which, by the way, just great local bands in Oregon. Saw some local Dead, local jam stuff, just like young guys, older guys, great local music. He's one of those local musicians, and he was kind of checking out Goose for the first time. He hadn't seen him before, and he's like, 726 is the song that I know. I love, and he was just like soaking it in, taking videos. I was like, the boys got him. Goose sucked in Sean McLean.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
I mean, you got a 2-hour set last night, and the San Diego show was basically 2 hours long too. So they're pretty much similar lengths. But you get to see them again this week.
I get to see them twice again this week. Yeah,
Twice.
I'm gonna be at LA. I'm gonna be at Santa Barbara Bowl.
Oh yeah.
The Wilton where they're playing in LA is a really cool small venue that I got to do some background work in before, and so I'm excited to go back there, and it's a classic. And then the Santa Barbara Bowl is like a major venue that I haven't hit out here in the West Coast yet that I'm really excited for, and those will be 2-set proper Goose that I'm looking forward to. But this was a lot of fun to start off the week.
It's a great way to kick off, and I think the band, they're moving into a 2-night stand here, which I think they're very excited about, not having to travel for a 5th day in a row tomorrow. But we're back in the Bay Area. We had a 2-night stand at the Warfield in April, which were a couple of great shows, and tonight and tomorrow night at the Fox in Oakland. Very, very late webcasts. I will be going and taking a nap after we wrap up this podcast, because we got to be up until the very late hour of 3:00 in the morning here on the East Coast. We've got, Connor will be up and live niching, doing what he does best, of course. But it's going to be awesome.
That Connor wanted me to phone him in for this. He also didn't hear the show, but
well, he can always offer his own unique perspectives. This is a niche podcast too, and we appreciate how many people are tuning in right now to hear a show that nobody has heard. Pretty exciting.
It is truly unfortunate that I am the news on the show, because I'm like, it was sick. It was awesome.
Best show ever.
Best show ever.
Very, very on brand though, at least. And we were hearing reports of a neck injury for you this weekend, so we're glad to see that you're doing a little better.
I'm doing a little better. I did wear the neck brace to the show last night. I was trying to stick out like a sore thumb for the live stream and make it all about me, but there was no live stream, so you guys didn't see.
Were you on the rail?
No, but we were pretty close. I mean, like I said, this is a really small festival, and a lot of people took off, and so we were able to walk up pretty close to the showtime and get really great seats.
And everyone knows you're like 7 feet tall, so we would have seen you if there was a stream.
I was poking out.
There was
a big blue poncho
on Sean's shoulders.
I was on Sean's shoulders. We were also there with the No Simple Road guys, who were loving the show. Everyone was just getting down. It was you and I have talked about this with Festival Goose as opposed to the 2-set proper Goose that we're supposed to get. We're not going to get this kind of stuff forever out of them. They're just going to get bigger and bigger, and there's not going to be a lot more times where I'm standing in a field with only 4,000 people, seeing them super close for one set while they just rip classics at us.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry, I hate to interrupt this broadcast, but we do have confirmation of the set list that just rolled in. Arrow was before Into the Mist. So it was Hot Tea, Silver Rising, Arrow, Mist, and Kylie, Hunger Site, SOS, 726, Arcadia, and big report from Peter himself. Reports on some jams here. The transition to the Hunger Site, excellent. Arrow went super dark, and the Kylie jam was sick. So we're really excited. Thank you, Peter, for contributing to today's pod. Whether you intended to or not.
No idea. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Thank you, Peter.
And I assume that means we will be hitting some Borfs shortly, which is very, very exciting. So that's the perfect timing and great way to wrap up today's episode. So I look forward to getting this festival into my ears. Sorry, that was not a coherent sentence. But yeah, I now may have to delay my nap in order to listen to this first. But it's going to be a late one tonight. Really excited to be back on the couch with a stream. So anyone who's staying up until 3 a.m. with me on the East Coast or midnight on the West Coast or whenever you're staying up, let's tweet about it or X about it or whatever you want to call it. But let's it's going to be fun. 2 nights at the Bay coming up. And thank you so much for being here, Cam. I believe you'll be back later this week when we can have a proper discussion about a show that we've all heard. I'm looking forward to.
I'm gonna make sure I write down the set list just in case there's some, something wrong with
stream error.
Stream error or something. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, everybody have a great time at the show tonight, whether you're on the couch or not. And we'll be back here tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern to talk about night 1 at the Fox. Have a fantastic rest of your day.